Hey guys, welcome back to my channel and to another God's Little Makeup Artist Talk. So I do want to share this book that my mom handed to me when we were at the Poets and Autumn tour. She handed it to me and I didn't think that I needed to read it, but when I cracked it open and I started reading through chapter 1, I was like, okay, I'm officially hooked. The Whole Woman by Ezekiel and his wife Kiana Azanwu. I really didn't think that I was gonna need to crack this book open and start reading it, but once I started reading through chapter 1, I was so hooked and I couldn't put the book down. I found myself actually breaking down through chapter 2. It's really not weird, but it is definitely therapy in a book. I just wanna say right now, if you desire to get your hands on this book, I do highly recommend it. But before I proceed with even sharing a little bit of this book, I just want to let you know that I'm going to read some of it. A little bit of a spoiler alert. And if you don't want to hear this part and you have the book and you haven't started it, or if you plan on getting the book and you want to read it for yourself, click out of this video now. Surviving trauma. I remember when I, Ezekiel, tried to be Superman. Early on in my relationship with Kiana, I noticed a bit of tension and hostility from Kiana to her biological father. I wasn't used to such things because I grew up with both parents married in the home. She would tell me she's doing the best she could and she's still working on processing the residue of bitterness left behind by him not being a part of her life early on. I was tragically confused. I would ask how could she hold such a grudge after all these years? So I set up an appointment without her permission for them to squash the beef in 10 minutes. It was a disaster. She was pregnant with our first child and was forced to deal with the stress of holding a little human in her belly and stress of unraveling her heart on a platter within moments. Needless to say, she needed a bit more time, communication, and understanding for the healing to stick. This hits home. It really is easy to look at someone else who may be or may not be closest to you. They may look at your situation and wonder why you can't just do something this way and be done with it. Just move past it. All you gotta do is this and everything will be better. It's not how that works. It's a process, especially if this thing has been your life for as long you can remember. It takes time for things to get to a place of healthiness, like where it's healthy. It's okay to ask questions, but to ask or suggest that I would just hurry and get over something without saying hurry. It's like when you behave a certain way and it's actually, your behavior is always going to be rooted back to that thing that has traumatized you. But when you meet somebody or you cross paths with somebody that you meet, whether it be a friend or a significant other or a family member who has always been there, it can become a little frustrating, and at times it can make you feel lonely, as if nobody understands what's going on with you. So you don't know who to talk to about anything, that is causing you pain or has caused you pain, and you just don't know who to talk to about it because you just don't believe that the person or anyone would understand where you're coming from because, I don't know, maybe it's just so much. It's so much stuff. And I do have Bible verses here. This is not just going to be solely based on this book, although it is a good book. There is no book greater than the Bible. So the next part that I want to share with you in this book, it's actually titled Absenteeism of One or Both Parents. This right here is me. The loss of either or both parents is convincingly devastating for a child's development. The trauma attached to an absentee parent can turn children into what we could consider the troubled individuals of our communities. As daughters, we have the habit of interpreting a parent's absence as a direct indictment on our value. The fact that dad didn't care enough to stay or mom gives us up at birth means we are not wanted like other children are. This doubt of self-worth can manifest in many different ways that are harmful to us as children and as we transition into womanhood. A lack of self-love or a low view of self can prove detrimental not just to us, but all potential relationships we may attempt to build. Because once the trauma has been inflicted, we can spend our lives exhibiting behaviors that are really anesthetic. We become experts at numbing the pain, maneuvering to escape every path that can lead us to the original agony attached to the trauma. That rang true for me in my life only because it's the truth. When I was younger, when I was 2, my dad left. That's what I remember. I remember when I was 2. I remember something happening and he left, he left. But then again, my dad wasn't perfect, okay? None of us are perfect, but he wasn't like the perfect father. And I'm sure it really just stems from his upbringing as well. It did, because my dad is no longer here anymore. But all I'm trying to say is when you're young as a girl, a baby, a little baby girl, a girl, the most important years were missed, with my dad. The most important parts, you want to have the best relationship with your father so that when you end up dating, you want to be able to be like, hey, well, this is how my dad is with me. This is how my father treats me. He tells me I'm beautiful. He takes me out on little daddy-daughter dates. I mean, this might sound a little cheesy, but it's because I've never had that. But that's okay. But those years, I didn't have them. I didn't know what kind of men to date, so I ended up dating the wrong kind. It's just those tender years as a child that are so important to have with a father and the father with his daughter. I totally forgive my dad. Not feeling wanted, always feeling like when you get too close to someone, it's like you almost feel like they're gonna leave. Sometimes you end up becoming the one that is sabotaging relationships, friendships. You're the one doing it because you're scared that the people are going to leave anyway. So it's almost like you feel like you need to be the one to step out first. You slide out of the relationship first before they do it so that it just eliminates any pain. Whenever I would go through breakups, because I didn't want to deal with the healing process, I would hurry and hop into another one. I didn't want to feel the pain of that. I didn't want to go through, I didn't know how to process anything. I just knew I wanted to be loved. I wanted to be wanted. I wanted that feeling of being wanted and loved. And because I had an absentee father, I was always looking for love from another man. And I don't want to downplay this because it's such a serious thing. Trying to fill a void by getting in another relationship is not going to fill that void. It's temporarily making you feel nice, making you feel good inside. So what happens is it's like a drug. It's an addiction. If you're on drugs, you want to stay high so that whatever it is you're dealing with or going through, you want to be high. You don't want to feel, you don't want to deal with anything. So you stay high. At the end of it all, it just damages you. Despite how your parents did not show up in your life, it's your job to identify areas in your life where you're attempting to fill the void of their presence. Are you quick to anger? Oh my gosh, me. Raise your hand in the comments if you are quick to anger. I mean, this sucks. Bad. Let someone do something to you. Maybe it's unintentional. They're not trying to hurt you, but it's a trigger. Learning how to keep my mouth shut when my mouth needs to remain shut. If you're the one constantly trying to defend yourself and protect yourself out loud with your mouth, maybe your anger is an outward expression of a deeper sadness within, and you're wearing anger as a mask and lashing out at others, not realizing that your wound was inflicted by feelings of abandonment. These feelings have made you feel unworthy of love that you indeed deserved from your parents. We want you to know that it's not your fault. Despite the circumstances that shaped you, your parents' shortcomings do not have to determine your potential. Instead, you can use your understanding of this void to seek out others who may be going through something similar and pour into them. It's not woe is me. It's not like, oh, you look at me, I'm going through things. God put me in my position for a reason. Put me in the family that he put me in on purpose. It's not unknown to him. He gets the glory. We can certainly choose to sit and wallow in it. Or if you really desire healing, you have to address it. And that's hard. I know it. But you have to address them. And we can't keep blaming other people for why we are the way that we are. Because once we realize the root of it, what are we going to do about it now? Psalm 68, 5-6, for the fatherless, father to the fatherless. defender of widows. This is God whose dwelling is holy. God places the lonely in families. I want you guys to communicate with me. Who is struggling with something similar? Desiring to be the one in your family to break a cycle. If you really desire to be free of something, you'll make it happen. You'll ask God what needs to be done. You stay in the Word. Keep your head in the Bible. God uses people, but He is the source. He is the provider. We just thank God because that, the Holy Spirit is really here to show us and teach us things for our growth, for Him. So I'll see you in my next video.